The Side Hustler's Perspective podcast is fuel for your mind and creative grind. Each week, we break down the art of healthy hustling, getting out of your own way, and growing your creative business. All right, we're all ready to go. So let's have some fun with this one, y'all. Let's just vibe to the conversation. I got your back with this. You're going to sound incredible. Let's just show the world how dope and awesome you are. So let's dive in first. We got Silva. I recently learned your name in French. There's no way I would be able to enunciate and pronounce that. So I'll let you actually say who you are, and we'll dive deep into the kind of work you got going on, struggles, takeaways, and we'll roll from there. So the floor is yours. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and how do you pronounce your name in French?
Oh, in French, my French name, you want? I'm Yael. I won't say my last name because it's a real big last name and really complicated last name.
Okay, so we gotta hear it then. We want to hear it. The full name. Give us the whole thing.
No.
We're 10 weeks in and now we're finally get to know her real name. Like, please, you gotta share
the podcast.
Yep, share it all.
Okay, I am Yael Sixou de Fornel.
That wasn't so long. Like, you say it so quickly. All right, now let's go into Silva mode.
So I'm an illustrator and a storyteller, and I live in the forest. And during
all the way in France, just so people know, like
in France.
Yeah.
During this season, I'm channeling my focus on Solana NFTs, art and community. My current series is Roots and focused on lush nature, trees that are the souls of our ancestors, and magic herbs that turn the seeds into plants in a single night. So my art is for people who want to slow down and feel more connected to nature, who want to live a more healthy life and live in harmony with their environment. My goal is to prove that we can adapt our way of life to the protection of the planet without living in the growth, and that we can use knowledge and new technologies to live in a more ecological way of life.
I love it. And I would say, like, you are truly living out your brand, but these are elements that have been important to you for a long time now, but they're all pieces of a puzzle that are coming together this season for you. Right. And I do want to make sure I give two massive shout outs to current/past students, Camille Haluin, as well as Trev Alves, for just being out there in the Solana community, as that's how you found me. And then we've connected. So massive love to those students helping me create new students. Now, I would love to talk a little bit more about the work and the project you're working on this season. And, something that we've been baking together, because originally you came in with this grandiose idea, but you come from freelance. You never really put your own personal work first. So I'm like, okay, hold on. Before we go in this massive, big idea, let's slow down. Let's start small so we can slowly scale. So if you could talk about the project of this season that you've been diving deep into, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yes. So before I knew you, I created a first NFT project, but I did not know where I had to come to start. Sorry. With your great guidance, I started to work on Roots. This is the project I'm currently working on. It's kind of the starting point of the brand I'm building to get people to know me. So it consists of 5 pieces, and those 5 pieces are shaping the artist I am today, the artist and the person. One by one, they tell the story of my roots, of where my roots came from, and why I moved away from them, and how I reconnect them through art and nature.
And we're a couple pieces in right now. As of recording we sold 2 pieces, one for 3, one for 6.9, in case you're an immature person, part of the culture. And now you're working on your 3rd piece right now. You've made time to create collaboration work within it too, as well as um, a piece for a competition as well. So you've been kicking out a lot of very intentional work, as well as sharing things about your family, sharing life within the forest. You have a green thumb. You're big into planting things, as well as what's probably your favorite hobby that you've really been sharing a lot about, especially on Twitter.
Yeah, I share a lot about bread because I was a baker in a first life.
Right. And you were an optometrist and started your own business of like eye care on wheels, basically bringing glasses and eye care to people in a mobile way. Like, you're an entrepreneur, you're a hustler,
Yeah.
but also lived a crazy busy life that kind of overwhelmed you, tore you down, beat you down in a sense, moved to the forest, and then found art again. You gave yourself permission to pursue your art. Is that kind of the skinny of a backstory?
Yes.
Yeah. You lived a pretty crazy life, and it's pretty cool how like the forest saved you. Can you talk a little bit about that quick?
About the forest?
Yeah. Just like how life moving into the forest, what did that do to change your life?
Moving in the forest is just disconnecting with with real life sometimes, but it's really allows to slow down and just there is no noise. I didn't hear any cars or city noise, and I'm living with bird sings, and I don't know. It's really peaceful here and connected to nature. There is lots of bees of animals, and that's really really calm and really good for my mental health and my body health too.
No, I think that's a powerful
And
thing.
My creativity.
It like forces you to practice self-care and disconnect from the craziness society ingrains in us. Like, you got to be on your phone all the time. Otherwise, you're weird if you're not glued to your screen. So I think it's a really powerful part of your story and speaks to the message that was in with your series, your personal brand, and everything else that you've been building. It's a very powerful thing. So let's talk about the struggles though. From the outside looking in, it seems like you got it all figured out. The past life is the past. And now you're living this life of as an artist, selling your work as NFTs. And you're big in the environmentalists as well. So like, NFTs get a bad rap. I should just say NFTs get a bad rap in the headlines of killing a planet, but we're on Solana, which is green, carbon neutral, very minimal footprint. Just putting your art on the blockchain or minting or selling a piece takes less energy than a Google search. So you're being very conscious about where you're putting your art at. So what kind of struggles did you have coming into this program? I'd love to hear a little bit more about that, just so people realize like, nobody has it all figured out.
Yeah, before I start the program, so I knew what I wanted to do with my first project. I knew I wanted to do it in Solana, but I didn't know how to start, how to talk about it, how to organize my time around my creativity, and I have imposter syndrome because I didn't do art study in life, and I'm a late artist. And yeah, so it was for all this reason I came to you, because I knew I needed someone to help me in this journey to really improve myself.
And I would say coming in on the first call, a lack of confidence.
Yeah.
Right. Done the whole freelance you've created for other people in your newfound art journey. But it was really just having the confidence to bet on yourself. Like, this season is a big bet on what you're capable of and what you want to do and seeing it through. And I feel like it's paying off. So let's flex a little bit. We talk about the bad stuff first, where were the struggles, but now let's pivot and let's flex. Let's talk about some wins, some big takeaways from where you're at to like where you are now. What are like 1 to 3 things that you learned during this program that past Silva, let's say at the beginning of this year, really needed to hear?
The first thing is that you say to us that just win a small win in a day will be a big win at the end of the season. So it was really, really good advice for me. And I use it every day. And the second one is that we need to focus on just one project at a time, to not disperse, to not be overwhelmed and not focus on the good stuff. And the last thing is that to avoid overthinking and being overwhelmed, we need to organize our time and planning our next move, so we know what we have to do next, and we're not thinking about how we are, how we're feeling, and everything.
I would say other things I've really seen you do is, outside of prioritizing your time and being objective, you've gotten good at batching, writing content ahead of time or creating templates for your posts so you can rinse, reuse, and repeat. You've learned how to not only brand yourself, but how to brand your series and your artwork. Some pretty powerful things, and I think it's those constraints have given you confidence, and doing it once, being able to rinse and repeat and repurpose. Can you talk a little bit about how you've leveraged those things in your week to week to see progress?
It was first week. It was really, really hard for me to do templates because it's not my first job. So I'm good to imagine words, but really bad to draw lines in a good way. so it was a big deal for me, and I passed a lot of time on it. And you learn me to you teach me, to just be simple with that kind of stuff. That was not the most important things, and to set deadlines like 2 hours to do a template. And I just let it go, and my templates, I know, are not very good, but I'm okay with it.
And it's what I really love the most is you have the big picture of what you want to work next with the Seeds project. You can follow along with her and follow, what this is going to evolve into. But I'm really glad you slowed down and focused on the small thing first, because doing all this hard stuff first and figuring it out, finding your lane, finding your voice, finding your style, finding your message is all preparing you for the next big thing. So as we kind of land the plane with you right now and pivot to the next person, I got to show you some love. So on our first call, as I mentioned, you had never sold your art. You were really focused on freelance, creating for other people. And you came into this season very focused. You were like, I'm all in on my own art right now. And to me, when students come in, the biggest results happen when you do less, but better. When you focus on a season of selfishness, putting your own oxygen mask first through the lens of purposeful play, not forcing it, not rushing it. You came in struggling with self-confidence, being yourself and how you show up, promoting your work. And then you had a fear of speaking English, but yet fast forward today, you sold multiple pieces. You've created a big ass body of work. You speak in English weekly with us and kicking off the hot seat call. You've been on Twitter Spaces practicing as well. And you've truly are in that early stage of dialing in your personal brand and secret sauce. You have an incredible backstory that we got a chance to learn. I can't wait for people to know more of it. And the adversity you've overcome to get to this season of your life really speaks highly of you, especially how much focus you put on self-care and your family and taking the weekends off to break away from Twitter or art, whatever. It's really, really powerful. So I really sincerely appreciate you giving me a shot, but most importantly, giving yourself a shot, because the transformation you're having right now over the past few months has been incredible. So I can speak for everyone. We're really, really glad to have you a part of this family. So thank you, Silva.
Thank you.
All right, let's keep this rolling. Great job, Silva, starting us off. What a powerful vibe. Let's keep it rolling right now. Next up, we got Tommy Boy, Mr. Thomas Morell.
Howdy. How's it going?
Hey, brother. All right, the floor is yours. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Thomas Morell. I'm an artist, designer, and most importantly, a family man. What I love doing most right now is kind of blending my love for jam band music, nature, with my fascination for typography and psychedelic art. And I'm kind of in a season of really aggressive play, experimentation, and getting back to drawing after a good long 10-year hiatus or more. Yeah.
And it's funny, as we worked on this, I feel like this elevator pitch that we work on was probably really, really hard because there's a lot of conflicting past identities, that are trying to limit you from becoming who you actually want to be. Anyway, you can speak a little bit more on that, like, especially when we bake this up together, what are some of the most challenging things you've had to let go of?
Well, I'm really proud of myself for the fact that I didn't mention that I'm a product designer by day, and I led with the dream.
That's a big win, and before this even started, you wouldn't even call yourself an artist.
No, not at all.
Why wouldn't you call yourself an artist before this?
Well, at that point in time, I wasn't really creating art, even though that was the dream. That was kind of the past life. I had just sold myself into the fact that I needed to do design to make money and provide a living for the family. And the financial aspect to design seems to play a really big, heavy aspect in my life.
Right. We've done some really deep diving work to reprogram. So it's really, really cool to hear you lead off with this and not even talk about the day job element like that. Yeah. That's massive. So let's talk about the work and just the project that you're working on during the season that's allowing you to reinvent your creative identity.
Right on. So I went with something very close to home for me. I'm doing a series called Songs of Our Own. So it's 13 pieces and it's all kind of music lyrics from the Grateful Dead, typographic artwork. So just basically anything that comes to my head, start off on paper and roll into Procreate, which is also new to me and a lot of fun. And then typically finish the piece through coloring in Photoshop. A couple of them I might have done in Illustrator too, because just, old habits die hard. But just trying to get back into playing and drawing, kind of really relearning how to just create for myself.
And what is the new name shift that there you go. Talk about the new name shift that you just did. And then I'm going to share the screen here for your work. I'll share it for everyone's. And then I'm going to go back just so we can all see Silva's real quick too. Talk about the new name change as of this week.
As of today, I think, or no, yesterday. Yeah. High Tide, Low Country. So it was something else I was thinking about doing for a long time. I kind of wanted a different identity other than Thomas Morell Design, because that just really ties into the work that I do at my day job. And I wanted to do something a little different to just bring that out. And High Tide, high, it's uplifting. It also kind of ties into the drug-oriented music that I love, like the Grateful Dead and stuff like that. And
you're still a very responsible dad with the day job. It's just
absolutely
taste in music.
Absolutely. Yes.
Keep the judgment to yourselves.
Of course. And Low Country is where I'm living right now. Relocated my family to an island off the coast of Savannah, Georgia. And I love it here. And the tides play a very big part in our lives. You can't get to certain places when it's high tide. And I just thought it was a name that I really connected to and thought it was fun.
Yeah, I love it. So the project you're working on, what have you learned by working through this series, giving yourself permission to play?
Number one, it's fun, first off. And I guess I really enjoy doing it. And I found I'm really going through all this and hearing everybody else's struggles too. I realize I'm really my biggest hater, my biggest judge, my biggest doubter, my own biggest bully. and just allowing myself to play and have fun and not really, I mean, you definitely worry about the results. You want to create something you like and vibe with, but not worrying how it's perceived by others. Because typically it's how you perceive it. Others find it great and connect with it, and write nice comments and Instagram. But it's me that always holds me back from doing it. It wasn't any external force that kept me from creating these past 10 years. It's all this guy. So that was a big one to overcome.
And since we're kind of talking about struggles, let's just dive a little bit deeper. What are some of the main struggles going into our first conversation, especially going into this program, because you are a product of the Q1 boot camp this year, 3-week boot camp, and then you went right into the 12-week program to go deeper down the rabbit hole. So let's talk about where you were at the beginning of the year, at least coming into this program. What were some of the biggest hurdles that you've been navigating?
Well, I mean, number one, I was ready to give up on design altogether. I was ready to find another job. I mean, my wife just switched to real estate, so I thought, well, maybe I'll do that with her and just kind of leave art and design all in the past. Just very creatively kind of stagnant, not doing anything for myself, bored, probably a little depressed. But you actually, I'm not sure how much of an impact you had on me in that one conversation. So my goal was to go.
The first conversation went like last September or something like that.
It might have been. Yeah. Yeah. So I was fully ready to go full-time freelance, and I was going to start trying to build up my freelance client list for UX, UI, and creative direction. And I think I actually signed my first client the day I talked to you, and I signed him up, a retainer client. And then I talked to you, and all the questions you asked kind of led me to thinking like, well, that's not really what I want to do. What I really want to do is create my own products, create my own art, and do those things. And you asked a really important question. You said, so after you get all these clients and you can leave your full-time job for this new full-time freelance career, will you have time then to create for yourself? And I was just like, oh no, I definitely won't. Like, I had a business at once and I had no time for anything. So it was kind of a lightning bolt went off in that moment where I was like, it's kind of building my own other full-time job, really.
It's like, how do we be miserable on our own terms?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
And it's funny. A lot of people I talk to on calls like that, this is the plan. I'm like, but is this what you really want? Or is this a means to one day get to doing what you want? You're just kicking the can down the road. That's it was on what, 11, actually it was 11. It was November 30th was our first call. I was way off by September.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot has changed in 6 months, like radically, like a massive pivot. No, fuck that. I'm going this way.
Yep. No, it's been a huge change, but it's a good change. It's a change with more, I don't know, joy in it. Or it's kind of a weird word to throw around, but I'm having fun doing it. Like I feel good about the direction. I feel good about where I'm going. Still trying to figure out exactly what my style and what my lane is going to be, but I feel better about it than I did back in November for sure.
And we've done a lot of heavy mindset work. I would say the work we've primarily done is more mindset, letting go of limiting beliefs. When you did your story in the secret sauce, I was like, holy shit. No wonder why we do this, and this, or we seek shiny objects, instead of being like, okay, I could really dive deep because this is hard, so it's really cool to see the deeper we dove, the more limiting beliefs we've tackled along the way. I'm like, damn, I would say probably 3, maybe 4 weeks ago was like a real turning point of you had some epiphanies. So if we can like pivot from the struggles to the highlights, I would love to know what are like the biggest takeaways you've had, especially within this 12-week program.
Right on. Yeah. So I think I kind of mentioned it before, but the freedom from my own tyrannical mind, I think, was my biggest epiphany, where I thought I was chasing financial freedom, location independence, which I have now, living where I live, and time independence. That's why I was going freelance. But what I really need to be chasing is just an escape from my own worst judgment, from my own, bad impulses that keep me from creating and tell me that, it's not going to be good enough. I'm not going to, get anywhere doing it. and to get past that. And then the other really big success is, I mean, I've created like 11 pieces of art so far, and that is exactly 11 more than the last 10 years. So that's really exciting. But
yeah, that's wild. And there's been times where like, man, slow progress. I feel like I should have more, which is like a theme with a lot of y'all, like not appreciating the progress, feeling like, I think Jonathan said it in his most recent check-in, feeling like you're focused on hitting the home run and you're losing sight of like the actual wins that you're having in the meantime. Like the fact you're already creating a body of work outside of a day job, having 2 kiddos, having like a pretty consistent social life with a lot of things going on with you and your family. The fact you're still creating a body of work, showing up to calls, finishing exercises, it's pretty powerful what you're doing. When you say it out loud, it's like, oh shit, okay. Some of these check-ins, I'm more in my head when in doubt, zoom out.
Right on. And I think the reason I've gotten to that place is because of the listing of priorities, and then also my relationship with time. Like once I realized, well, if I'm better to myself, I'm going to wake up earlier. And if I wake up early, the rest of my family sleeps till 6:30. So I've got an hour and a half every day to myself to just create. But I have to take care of myself. I have to, eat right, sleep right, not have too much fun at night. And then I have all the time in the world.
Right. And I would even put that in the struggle is still the prioritizing your time is probably still up there, but it's way better than it used to be, like 1% better each time. So, any other like highlights or takeaways that you would like to share?
No, I guess just with that, like knowing your priorities, and you'll find the time for the things you really want to do. So if you limit the distractions and make room for the actions that are going to make you feel better at the end of the day, it makes all the difference in the world. So even when I'm at my kids' Taekwondo practice, like I can draw there. I'm on my lunch break, I can draw there. So instead of doing something silly like scrolling through Instagram or watching YouTube, just draw or create.
And not being too precious, the constraints of when I'm like, yo, this just needs to be posted, give yourself an hour, get it out there. It may not be something you love, but it's an exploratory mode. Because at the end of these 13 pieces, you're going to find what you love the most to leverage that into the next series, a little mini series, little sprints to find your style and groove. I feel like it's working, because you got a couple pieces. I'm like, yo, those are bangers. I feel like that's like, we're truly evolving into what you want to be about within your work.
Appreciate that. Yeah, no, definitely finding a little groove, and it's I like it. It feels good.
Absolutely. So as we kind of wrap this up and pivot to Morgan next, the first random conversation over a year ago was at Creative South at a hotel bar, Hula Hots. Had no idea like a year later we'd be having this conversation, which led to our first call. When again, I talked to you off the ledge of diving deep into a path that clearly didn't sound like anything you'd enjoy doing. Because why do we rob ourselves from what we truly want to pursue? That's the beauty of a day job. Even if it's a day job we don't love, that's fine. Let's leverage them. They don't use us. We use them. And that's a perspective shift. So even if we don't love it, that's fine. It's the bank that funds the dream. And you're really hard on yourself at times because a lot of your bandwidth goes to the day job, family, relationships, as well as parts of your backstory that, like I mentioned, create those glass ceilings that limit you from growing in a direction you're most stoked about. So you've really been doing some hard internal work. It's like I say with y'all, what good is a sexy Ferrari if the engine's not working? So we've been working on the engine heavily. So even though you feel like you may not want to be where you want to be right now, people are younger and farther, you're reprogramming yourself, this or that. But look at it this way, like Tommy Boy from a year ago would be fucking geeked at the moves and the work present Tommy Boy is creating. So when you give yourself permission, you carve out time to make your art a priority, you tap into your style. When you keep checking these boxes, dude, you're going to be an unstoppable force, getting weird, attracting work that you never thought you would be possible because you gave yourself a permission slip. So, and then I also think sharing your story along the way, things you're navigating this season, the things you're working on from the past, it's just going to amplify your work to the next level because you have a powerful message to say. And you've done that in the past with other podcasts and other projects. It's all just coming together in a more focused lane. So again, the biggest thing I'd ever say to you is just keep being a kid, purposeful play, keep playing like every day is recess. And that aggressive, purposeful play. It's going to show you the way. So thank you, brother, for being a part of this and just diving deep and letting go and just being open to everything. Because, man, sometimes we really, really challenge you on calls too.
Yeah, no, it's a good challenge. It's needed. Finding like a coach, finding therapy, finding all these things. It's needed. It's necessary. And I really appreciate everything you've done though.
And there's a couple more big takeaways before we pivot. Accountability and support can come from creatives, coaches, therapists, family life. So it's just hard to thrive and figure shit out on your own. So thank you for all the gems today, man. I really, really appreciate it. And before we move on, we got to give Silva some screen time real quick. So if you're on the YouTubes, you can check out our work. Some beautiful color palettes, very nature intensive, trippy trees. And she's worked on big projects. In case you're in the Web3 space, she's worked on projects DeGods and Utes, which are like some of the biggest NFT projects in the world. So yeah, she's kind of good. You know, we saw Thomas's work, and now let's pivot to Morgan Zion, aka Morgan Smile.
Hello.
What's up?
That was so inspirational. I'm glad I didn't have to go first. Now I'm cool with it.
All right. Well, let the world know a little bit about yourself.
Yes. I'm a yoga instructor, an artist, designer, and wellness coach. I'm pivoting from just doing things in real life to also Web3, and from just physical to digital as well. As an artist, I create vibrant illustrations and large-scale murals that are often around the themes of animals, nature, diversity, and female empowerment. And my goal with all of the things I create, including experiences, is to help individuals find the intersection of mindfulness, wellness, and balance in their lives through yoga, meditation, and mindfulness. Because I'm such a positive influencer in my own life and in others, I believe that that positivity gives people a boost and helps their lives just become a little bit better and a little bit happier. So that's me.
You would have never guessed that. Over the last couple of weeks, you're like, man, I don't even know how to put this pitch together because there's so many different identities and things that you do.
I know.
And it's all colliding now.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so.
I would say so. And let's just give a little screen time too, so you can see your exchange art profile marketplace with the first series, Modern Warriors, and everything that you just recently completed. Really bold, traditional tattoo style, heavy line work, heavy details, the very positive woman empowerment message too. You know, if you want to give like a quick little overview on this series, that'd be great.
Yeah. Modern Warriors was kind of a passion project of mine about the center being female empowerment. And I think the most important takeaway I can share about female empowerment from my perspective is, instead of it's like an us versus them gender battle, it's more just like celebrating the differences and the strengths of being a woman, and how it's not like, again, we're better than men. It's that we are celebrating our difference. And through that, it actually creates a deeper connection through our gender together as females. Like, we're building each other up. And also the awareness and the education that comes with that is a little bit more accepted, I would say, from other genders as well. So when you're not treating everybody like an enemy, somehow they gravitate towards you, because positivity begets positivity, right? So if you're empowered and you're feeling good and you're feeling great, you just kind of polarize that, or you bring that in rather than, kind of chase people away. So that was a really fun collection. I was super grateful to be in the community with you, Scotty, and you picked up a piece, Britt picked up a piece, and quite a few other collectors that are through the network. So I felt really lucky.
Yeah, it was definitely a powerful debut. So let's talk a little bit more about like the work and the projects. Let's expand on this a little bit more about the work you're doing during this season. Where is it at? What's it focused on?
Right. So I'm sharing my art and story within the Solana NFT community, but I'm also creating Web3 and IRL wellness experiences, kind of incorporating what I already do with meditation, mindfulness, and yoga. And again, with the goal to help people live healthier and happier lives. And I've been finding it is challenging to bring all those things together, but I do feel like the scalability within Web3 and that community really lends to me doing less but better. So it's really because there's only one of me, and I have a lot of people I service and a lot of projects that I've got my hands in. So bringing it together this season has been really important.
And it's been hard. Like if we can pivot to the struggles, like it's like pulling teeth at times, because I see so much of myself in you where we become our own bottlenecks. And is our time, our finite time, being properly used to put into things that serve us, or are we distracting ourselves, keeping ourselves busy so we can ignore a path we want to do, but we just don't know how to get to it? And that is, oh my God, and that's me this season as well. And so you coming in too, can you talk a little bit about where we were on our first call a couple months back? Let's talk about struggles Morgan had coming in this program.
Well, yeah, because I mean, like you said, I like to be busy. I like to like hustle, get shit done like all the time. And that's how I feel like I'm making progress. But many times I'm blasting past my ideation depth in order to just build more, so just like, all right, ideate for 5 minutes, get shit done, push pass. And it's just all about efficiency. And unfortunately, when it comes to building your best body of work and only focusing in one direction and going down, down, down and going deep and really getting those deeper insights for what I want to create, that feels so much slower, even though I already know that if you drill down in one hole rather than a bunch of holes, you actually get somewhere. And so I know that, but again, my first instinct when I feel like out of balance is just to go back into the busy buckets. And so that's been challenging for me. It's really made me question a lot. And it sucks because I know that by right now, if I was doing it the way I normally do it, I would already have probably done 6 collections, honestly. And I would have just pushed them out. Boom, 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 boom. Because I'm just a machine like that. But that doesn't mean that I would look at it and be like, wow, that's my best work. I'd just be like, oh, look at me being productive and busy as I always am, So I've been doing a lot more writing. I've been doing a lot more thinking and research and very specific pitching, which for me has also felt uncomfortable because it's pushing me.
Right. And what I've learned is success doesn't lie in addition. Success truly comes in subtraction versus casting a wide net. How can you go deeper? How can you be more intentional? How can you slow down to grow fast? Right. And that shit's so hard for me. Every year, my New Year's habit, because resolutions are flaky, do less but better, do less but better. And I still take on too much. So when I see you slowly getting shit off your plate, saying no to things, I'm like, oh my God, it's clicking. I'm like, oh my God, something's actually happening here. And every week it's been a battle because you came in with a lot of commitment still, a lot of travel. You've been to like 3 different places and different conferences and traveling. You go to Greece tomorrow, like you have a lot going on. You're truly a hustler. And I'm like, what are we hustling about? So it's really cool to see you narrowing it down, even though the path may not be clear right now.
Right. Yeah, I would say based on all of that and the takeaways for me this season have, like I said, and you've said it to me many times, like do less but better. And, everything that isn't the specific direction is a distraction. And any time that I'm just taking a job for the money, it's likely not going to fulfill the core of what I need to be accomplishing. Like I'm still going to end up in the same place that I always end up, and it's like, I I have to say no to things that I really don't want to say no to sometimes, because I like being busy. I like production. I like to see something get done that I did. But
you're
then
heavy in a corporate world where that was the name of the game. Production, 8-hour work blocks, knock shit out, on to the next.
It's a hard habit to get rid of. And I would say like, I think the scariest part of leaving a corporate structure, and the further and further away you get from those habits, the further and further you get away from ever being able to go back. And I think that's a lot of the fear that I have. It's like, man, the further you get away from that machine behavior, you ain't going to be able to adapt. You're going to have to like do your own thing forever. And that's a fairly scary place to be in some ways, but it's also liberating as fuck. And I would never go back, because I ain't about that life, man. I'm going to Greece tomorrow. I got shit to do. You know, I'm not trying to like go and sit at a desk with everybody again. Like, I'm good. I'm all right. So it's like,
learned a lot from a corporate cubicle myself.
Yeah. It's like, nah.
I would like, for public accountability here, what's the new season that you're headed in right now in terms of top priority with the life bucket and the dream bucket, and where you want things to be, even if the path's not clear?
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I would like to, and in this next phase, I would like to make my best work for sure. Like that is, I got to be able to say, this is the best piece I've ever done. And it can be in Web3, or it can be a mural or whatever, but it has to be my best work, number one. And number two, within the wellness experiences that I'm creating, it's solely my own entity. And I combine the best art I've ever made with my experiences and bring them together. And that is all me, because then it's not anybody else's brand I'm bringing in, no one else's art I'm bringing in. It's just my art, my wellness experiences. And if you want to buy it from me, if you want my services, you can't get it through anywhere else. It's only through me. So it's like bringing those two together and just really honing in and just trusting the process.
Which is powerful, because Morgan coming into the program with that first week, the priorities exercises, I'm like, yo, in the day job bucket, you got like 3, 4, 5 different things. In the dream bucket, you got this, this, and this, but your art is at the bottom. And the fact you told me on one call, I don't know. I could never say what my best work is. I was like, whoa, that was like a knife just jabbed in me, and that one hurt. I'm like, you're so fucking talented, and you don't even know what your best work is yet. That's a problem. And you even said it yourself. I'm tired and fed up of being an executioner for everybody else's business and service. You hire me for my service. You're not hiring me for me. And I don't even have time to create for me. You know, and so it's really cool to see Morgan from then to Morgan now of yoga practice and wellness is the main bucket of the day job, building my brand over here with my art, and then finding a way to overlap the dream and the day job so where they fully overlap, like my dream and day job are with my art and coaching. It's going to be powerful, and I know it's going to take off. Is there any other big takeaways you want to share right here before we pivot?
Yeah. Last thing is just like, no one sees you the way you see yourself. So, you know, like, don't sweat it. Keep going. If you think that everybody's like, oh man, wow, that's not a good idea, doesn't fucking matter, because their life is different than yours. And whatever progress you're making, whatever your dreams are, if you're not going for them, you will likely end up in the same exact place, having the same conversation with yourself and always doubting because everybody else is doubting you. Like, you're probably doing it right if you're afraid.
Right. So, if you feel like an imposter, keep going. You're going on the right path. And I think biggest for you is slow progress is still progress. And that's big for everyone right now, you know, especially this season where you don't get to create as much. It's just the season, but I feel like the clarity is really, really coming, and it's really cool to see. So a little praise time before we pivot to Wang. On our first call, I've told you a million times, I knew immediately within like 5 minutes, I'm like, dude, this girl's going to be a juggernaut, as you have all the tools needed to crush it. And we talked about this on calls, and I was proven right. After you did your first NFT drop, the demand was sky high, shattering all my previous high expectations for you. I already had high expectations, and you just shit all over them, figuratively. At the same time, you've held a lot of your gains hostage by keeping your plate piled high, staying too busy because you're good at a lot of things, which is also my biggest weakness. And where I've seen the most growth is truly when you slow down, get intentional about what you want, why you want it, how you make it happen. Even if the path isn't clear, it's like trusting yourself, the mindfulness about it. So you have the skills, the drive, the personality to move mountains. And when it all starts to connect and click, when all the dots start to connect as well in a very focused direction, the amount of fulfillment you'll find, the amount of purpose you'll find, and most important, the amount of impact you're going to create is just going to blow everyone else away. And I'm going to be chilling here with my gluten-free popcorn without much butter on it because I'm trying to cut for the summer. I'm just going to be enjoying my popcorn, sitting back and like, Morgan, I told you so. So keep trusting the process, stick to your guns, make those sacrifices, saying no for the greater vision. Just do your thing. Unstoppable. So thank you so much for being a part of this and giving me a shot.
Gluten-free all the way.
Right. All right. Thanks, Morgan. Thanks again for listening. It'd be awesome if you took the time to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and let the comment below so we can connect. Again, if you want to catch a shout out as a future listener of the week, make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes and give it a rating and review.